Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. So I happened to come across the latest and upcoming cover for the New Yorker magazine, and this cover was illustrated by a man named Adrian Tomine. This cover is entitled Love Life, and it is his depiction of a snapshot of a modern day woman in, pandemic life. And so, in this picture, as you can see, it captures necessary items for our daily life as of right now. I see the mask and the gloves in the Amazon box, and I know I've ordered from Amazon a couple times over, and I see the computer that's been adjusted and elevated. I see the martini glass, which should be a wine glass, but that's neither here nor there. But, I find this cover to be interesting for two different reasons. The first reason that I find this cover to be interesting is that, yes, this is, in some sense, the modern day woman, dressed up at the top as well and casual at the bottom, maybe not shaving right now because, she's settled at home. I see the furry slippers. I see her, drinking her wine and dressed up and bedazzled. This cover is entitled Love Life. So maybe this is what's going for her right now. Dating is tricky. Cuffing season is weird. Meeting someone is not as likely as before, because many of us, not all of us, are complying with the safety practices that are in place right now in terms of, wearing the mask. So some women's love life has been impacted in some sense. And we also have to look at men, but that's a whole nother story. But the second reason why I find this cover to be interesting is because it was created by a man. And so this is based off of his perception. So if this cover was created by a woman, I can see this cover looking totally different. I can see a woman creating this cover where she has multiple women standing in different parts of her house with different emotions. I can see a woman including, the makeup bag. Where's the lipstick? Where's the mascara? Where's the curling iron? Where's the books, for reading? Sister Soldier, Coldest Winter, Harry Potter, where are those type of books that, should be placed in this room? Where's the heels? This room here, or this living space, is a bit messy, and that is for some, but not for many, because I know I keep my living space clean. And, overall, we've had to make major adjustments in terms of pulling cords in and, pulling a table here, pulling a chair here, adjusting our computers so they sit up so we can see on the Zoom calls, and, getting Wi-Fi and making sure your children, if you have children, are situated for their virtual learning. We've had to do a lot to adjust to the circumstances at hand, whether they're big or small. However, again, back to my point here, I just think that if this cover was created by a woman, it looked totally different in terms of explaining her love life. Now, when it comes to creatives, they have the option of explaining their entire creation, giving some sort of explanation to their creation, but not all, or they have the option of giving no explanation to their creation and leaving it to the imagination of the audience. And so Adrian Tomine did an interview, and he gave some interpretation of his cover here. Now, Adrian Tomine is married, so I can imagine him maybe getting some things, from his wife in terms of creating this cover. And then he took what he knew and, put this cover together, right? But from a man's perspective. So one thing he battled with is the lighting. And I think that's very important to highlight, because if you notice when you're on Zoom calls, if you do Zoom, there will be people with their lights off, or maybe they'll have their lamp on. In some cases, people have their room light on. But there are people that are depending on natural light to come into their living space, to light the room. And sometimes I'm like, it's winter time, and, I don't want us to fall into the winter blues in terms of, having our lights off, whatever, with seasonal affective depression or whatnot. But, however you want to light your room, that is fine. But we really have to think about the lighting, so I can understand his battle with that. He spoke about the Zoom meetings, which is the story of our life. Zoom, Zoom, Zoom all day. And then he also mentioned the cats that are in the picture, that, as you can see, they're on the ground below. He has two cats, but actually one of them passed away. So it's Dolly and Pepper, and Dolly passed away. And so he mentioned those things. And I like when creatives actually don't give an interpretation of their creation. They leave it to the imagination of the audience. For instance, when Childish Gambino came out with his video, This Is America, of course, he didn't like direct the entire thing. This was a collaborative process. However, they are all considered creatives. He did not give an explanation of This Is America. Like, he put it out there and people went wild because they wanted to know, because there were so many gems and so many, key points and so many facts and so many things that were happening in the video. Like, the video was one big circle of events and people wanted to understand what everything in the video was exactly about. People created like interpretations of certain things in the video. They had live reactions, they wrote articles, and I found it to be quite interesting. And again, Childish Gambino and the directors never gave their interpretation, and I like that. So still to this day, our imagination runs wild as to what this video was actually trying to say. Like, this is America. So again, this cover is entitled Love Life. Love life in a sense of this being a single woman, and this is what her life is like on a Saturday night. Is this a woman in a setting where she is, in love and maybe on a Zoom call date? I don't know. This cover can go so many ways. What I really like here, and let me look at the picture here in detail. What I really like here is the fact that she's dressed up top and casual at the bottom. That's another case of story of our lives, because there are people that put on sweatpants or shorts on the bottom and they're just, dressed up to the T up top. You have to be careful of that, because there's a lot of horror stories with Zoom and people not cutting off their calls, and then, things are seen or done that should not be done. I addressed this earlier. There are people that have clean spaces and, messy spaces. And for people that have messy spaces, they're probably like, look, I'm going to be working from home. Like, why clean so much? You should be maintaining your quarters or where you live. But, that's whatever. I guess some people feel very comfortable, just in being at home or whatever. So I guess the messiness is what, sets the tone for this cover here. I see the food on the floor. That's just being settled at home. Now, you could get roaches if you don't clean up. I see the Amazon Prime boxes. Now, I said I've ordered Amazon, more times than enough this year, but I will say everybody has had a Amazon box in their house or two. I see the medicine bottles and, the book and the papers on the floor and the lamp. Like I said, the lighting before him, cabinets are open. She's just rested well and wherever she's sitting, however she's sitting. So again, this is the interpretation of Adrian Tomine and the modern day life for a woman that is in the pandemic. Again, entitled Love Life. So I rambled enough. Give me your explanation or your interpretation of this cover. I find it to be very interesting coming from a male perspective. And also, how do you think this cover would look if it came or was created by a woman? All right, you guys take care.